Hello, Jasmine. This is George Compton, and welcome to Estate Talks for those watching live or recorded. Uh, I'm the publisher of Executorium, and I have with me today a guest, Jasmine Hathaway. And Jasmine is the co-founder of PALS, Professionals of After Loss Services.
You got
She's
it.
all she's also the founder of Compass Coordinators, where businesses are focused on supporting families with logistics, decisions, and tasks after the loss of a loved one. In 2021, she won first prize in the National Daring to Disrupt contest for female entrepreneurs from Ally Financial and Katie Couric Media. So welcome, Jasmine.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you, and I can't think of anyone better to talk about three things that an executor needs to know. So let's dive right into it. And what is the first thing executors should know on day one?
Sure. Yeah, this is a topic very near and dear to my heart. Absolutely. And the very first thing I would say is it's so important to get and stay organized. So what that means is have some kind of place where you are keeping your important documents and keeping track of everything that you've done.
Can't stress that enough. That sets you up for success, and it saves you time, because when you're scrambling to find things in this heat of the moment and people ask you for information all the time, you're a fiduciary, you're bound to report and know things and provide transparency. Organization is just key.
That's right. And you think you'll remember everything, but it may very well be that you have trouble remembering what you've done, who you've spoken to, all kinds of different things that are important to keep track of during the course of your executor responsibilities.
Especially if the estate administration goes long, and they always go longer than you think they will. You need to be able to backtrack and trace your steps. I might be one of these people, but any advice for the organizationally impaired, Jasmine?
I'm not going to call you out at all, I promise.
Thank
But
you.
if you did need some help, it really would be a great place to start, just to have some kind of binder, some kind of chart to keep track of all of the accounts that you need to contact and close or change account ownership on, things like that. So just some kind of running list. Ideally, it's all in one place. That's really the key there. So try not to have little scraps of paper in 100 different places that are impossible to track down when you're actually looking for them.
Yeah, very good idea. And conversations, I find, are important to journal and just record, and just remember kind of who was where at what time, and was what some of the main points of major conversations were. That could always be helpful down the road.
Yeah, great tip.
What's something else that executors should do early on?
Okay, so the second thing that executors should keep in mind and start doing early on is build a team. You do not have to do this alone. And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that everything is on them because they're officially named the executor or administrator, and it's just not true. So if there's anyone in your family who can help you, siblings or cousins or anybody else who can sort of help shoulder this burden, that can be huge. So loop them in as early as possible so they understand what you're facing, because a lot of people just really have no idea what an executor's responsibilities are. So having these allies on your side is huge. And then on the professional side, there could be all kinds of different professionals who can help you depending on what the circumstance is. But really early on, just at least getting a consultation from an attorney. So that would be an estate attorney or an elder law attorney, maybe talking to a financial professional like a financial advisor or a planner to help you make some decisions about things like life insurance or 401ks and different things like that. And then also there are professionals who specifically focus on helping administrators like after loss professionals. So that's a new category, but something that can be a game changer for people who feel totally overwhelmed with this stuff.
That's a great point. And you've got a mountain of tasks. You've probably likely never been in the situation before. Liquidation, you may have not even sold a house before. You may not have sold personal property before. You may not even know what personal property is. So these professionals can help just flatten the learning curve. And I, encourage anyone to get all the help you can. When you pay a professional under the estate, it's an expense of the estate. You don't pay the attorney bills, the estate does. You don't pay for the accountant. You don't pay for the assisting professionals, such as, professionals of after law services, an appraiser. You don't pay for. The estate bears that expense, etc. So don't try to lift that giant weight all yourself, I think is a great message. Thank you, Jasmine. What is the final thing that executors should know?
Okay, so I mean, we could probably talk about this all day, but
Sure.
for the purposes of this, we basically just want to leave everybody with this final thought, which is it won't always be like this, right? So it's helpful to think about the end, kind of focus on what your end goal is with all of this, and try to picture what that could look like. So a lot of times it can be easy to get kind of lost in the details and lose focus on the things that really matter at the end of the day. So in particular, I'm thinking like relationships, that can be damaged by the high emotion of settling an estate. So think about who is important to you and who you really want to value throughout this entire process, and don't make mistakes that you will regret later on just because you were not thinking that, about what is going to be like when we're out of all of this. So another thing that's important to keep in mind too is just, it is not a do everything at once kind of a responsibility. You have some time, and so you can think about what is truly most important to do now and what can wait for a little bit. So so you don't have to feel quite so much pressure on yourself on day one.
I can't put it any better than that. Starting with the end in mind is so important, and relationships very important. I use the analogy, we're fighting over the toy in the back seat of the car while mom and dad are in the front, and maybe mom and dad aren't there anymore. So it's really up to us to figure out how to work this out, and how important is the toy compared to the relationship and where the car is going. So I really appreciate that third and last idea, as well as the other two. They're just general ideas and set up an executor for success in the best possible way. So thank you very much, Jasmine. I do appreciate your time. I would ask executors for a moment to take a look at executorium.com. I think perusing some of the different subjects that we've laid out on that website might just create questions in your mind, to go and seek some of those professionals and get some answers, to read some articles. If you need help, ask for it. For example, professionals of after law services that can just help make your life and the executor road a little bit easier. So knowledge is your friend, and we appreciate the knowledge given today from Jasmine Hathaway. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.